Hi, and welcome to episode 174 of the Passionate Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schnüffeltier on Ravelry and on Instagram. I do have a Discord channel, I do have a Patreon, and I'm going to leave all the links down below. And I'm so glad to finally be able to record. I wanted to record all week, but I have two construction sites now right across the street. And they kind of start at 7 in the morning and they don't stop till 8 at night. So it's just either very noisy or it's dark. So today is Sunday. I took my chance. I have a lot of things to show you and I'm going to just get started right away. So for knitting in the past, I have a few finished things to show. First one is this nice pair of socks. It is a hand-dyed self-striping yarn from Eaden Yarns. And to be honest, I don't know if they still exist. I tried to find them the other day and I just couldn't. So who knows? But this yarn is Eaden Yarns and I paired it with a Regia solid in this fire engine red. And I really like how they turned out. They are a German size 38, 39. And that striping is just so pretty. And I really like how that red heel works with the rest of the sock. So yeah, here are the socks. I think they are really pretty and they are for my shop. If you're new here, and I'm honestly not sure if I ever talked about it on the podcast because it's been such a long time again. But I opened up a studio shop in this room actually. So it's now very full behind me because of the podcast, but this is usually my work area, and behind the camera I have my shop area. So these will now get a label and a price and they will go into my shop. So that's the first thing. Now, the next thing, I have some crochet things and I have a new pattern of mine to show. I'm gonna start with the crochet things. I tried to make face scrubbies and I used a pattern by Kamre Crochet or something. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And you do this popcorn stitch, which is super easy to do. It's not hard, but the cotton yarn that I used for this is so super splitty that making those little puff stitches here drove me crazy. So I said, you know what? Not happening. So this is mine now. And then I decided on a different pattern from the same designer. And it is called the Sakura Blossom face scrubby, and it's supposed to have 6 petals, but somehow I thought that I needed to add another one. So this one here is not supposed to be there. So these two are the ones that I made for me because, you know, I need to wash my face as well. And then it finally clicked because these are so easy to do. And what I did with the light blue one, I just held on to the pattern so hard that I completely screwed up. And after that, I said, you know what? I just go for it the way I would do it. And that worked fine. So I ended up making 18 of them. And I bundled them up in sets of 3. I had 3 different shades of blue. And these have the 6 petals that they're supposed to have. So yeah. And I have bundled them like this. So 3 dark, 3 light, 3 middle, and then 3 mixed. And they are in my shop like this. But yeah, like I said, the first 2 I thought, well, you know, my thought process was, oh, let's just do these. They're super easy. It's going to be a quick project. No big deal. And then the first 2 were so screwed up. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to make these. Not happening. But then, yeah. I made these and it turned out really nice, and it's really easy to do once you just do it and not overthink every step along the way. So that's my crochet. For the finished crochet, I have more crochet to show. And now for the exciting thing, or at least to me, I have designed a new pattern. It is currently in testing and I will release it on August 20th. So like in 2 weeks, and it is a project bag. And I'm super happy with how it turned out. It's a drawstring project bag that is knit in one piece, including the drawstring journal. And of course, because my hand isn't, oh well, it does stand up on its own. So you can have it as a project bucket next to you, and then you can just close it up and have it as a project bag. I'm super happy with this. The pattern is called Scrub Bucket. I already have the pattern page set up on Ravelry because I needed the tester code, which I didn't even know is a thing, but it is a thing. And yeah, so there's a pattern page on Ravelry, but there's no pictures there yet because I haven't shown this anywhere. So I'm showing it to you now. You're the first ones to see. This is my new pattern. And so this is the bottom, and that's, and on the inside, it just looks like this. Oh, I'm really bad at showing the inside, but it doesn't matter. It is a super cool, fully reversible project bag. So this is the side I've showed you so far. And I'm not going to show you the other side because I can, which is one of my favorite features about my pattern. So that's the other side of the project bag. Looking like this. So yeah, that is the Scrub Bucket pattern. It will, like I said, be released on August 20th. My testers are amazing and they have come very far already. So yeah, super happy with this and my new pattern. Very proud of that one. Of course, I'm going to do like this short pattern introduction clip that I've done for the other things as well. So yeah, Scrub Bucket, it's coming. Super excited. Now, I think that is it for finished things. For knitting in the present, I have knitting and I have crochet. I am going to start with the thing that's on top of my little pile here, and that is this thing. And this is a glove. It's not attached currently because, you break the yarn a lot when you knit gloves, which is the one thing that annoys me, is the many ends to weave in. But I love knitting gloves. They're super easy to do. And I have finished 2 fingers, as you can see. I'm going to put it on. So this is I have no idea if glove sizes are international or not. But this here is a glove size 8, which is my hand size, and I have very large hands. So this is for either a super large woman's hand or an average normal sized man hand. And this is how far I've come. I've knit 2 fingers, I have 3 to go, and the second glove, of course. But I felt the urge to knit gloves a few, almost months ago now. And I finally did it. I decided on the yarn and I put everything together, including the pattern. And then I just didn't start. And this week I finally started these. They are for my shop because I already have hand knit gloves that I made for myself. And yeah, I just love knitting gloves. They're so much fun. I have yarn set aside for a second pair because I want to make an average, a normal woman's size hand glove as well. And yeah, I'm just knitting gloves. So yesterday, I'm going to come a bit closer. So yesterday on Instagram, I already talked about my top tip for knitting gloves. And that is, I'm going to show it to you. So when you look at your hand and you look at where your fingers start, these 3 start at the same point, but the pinky, you can see there's quite the gap. So when you knit gloves, you usually do the thumb gusset, you get those stitches away, and then you knit straight up, and then you knit the pinky first. When you have finished the pinky, you use the remaining stitches and knit like 3 or 4 rounds straight up over all stitches, and then you start the other 3 fingers at the same point, and that will make your glove fit very well because it's anatomically correct. Because like I said, when I put my finger here, you can see that gap where you can see, you know, the background through, and that gap, you can bridge that by just knitting a few rows or rounds straight up. So that's my tip for you for today. I'm knitting gloves. I do not have a label for this yarn. All I know is that it is a Corriedale based sock yarn. I think it's a Corriedale nylon blend, but it is non-superwash. So I'm making gloves. I'm super happy about it. And I'm gonna make at least 1 more pair because first of all, I really enjoy it. Second of all, I can use sock yarn, which I have tons of. And you know, it's just a tiny break from knitting socks in a way. The pattern I'm using is from a Regia knitting magazine thingy. And it is basically their glove workshop. It was a free download from their website, but it's not there anymore. But they basically have this spreadsheet, and yeah, I'm working from that. Looks very confusing at the first glance, but I promise it makes a lot of sense and it is really easy to use. So that's what I'm doing. I'm knitting gloves and I'm super happy about it. Now, what I am crocheting, because it's the next thing on the, you know, pile, I'm doing granny squares. I have lately, I mean this year specifically and last year, I've done a lot of crochet. And like last week on Instagram, I saw someone else do granny squares and was like, huh, I've never actually made a granny square blanket. But I do have all of this nice yarn set aside already for a blanket. I think I can use that. So that's what I did. And the yarn I'm using is Hot Socks Grundel. It's Hot Socks Diamond by Grundelwolle. And they have 7 colors of this, or they had, because this is a few years old now and they don't do this anymore, I think. There are 7 colorways in this collection, and I bought all 7 colorways, and they are 50-gram skeins. So I have 14 skeins because you need 2 50-gram skeins for an average adult size pair of socks. That was the original plan, you know, was for me to knit all of those socks. I abandoned that plan, put the yarn into this super cool peanuts bag to knit the northeasterly blanket. That was the original plan for this yarn. And then I decided to use it for the granny squares instead. So I have 7 colors. I'm going to show them to you. I'm going to try. Okay, here they are. So these are the 7 colors in the collection. What I'm doing is I am making granny squares. And I'm using the yarn double. So I use this crochet hook. It's a 4mm, and I am using the inside and the outside end of one skein to get my granny square made with double thread. And I have finished the first 7 skeins. So I thought about this, you know, 7 skeins. When I made the first granny square, I weighed my yarn to make sure that I could get 2 out of 1 skein. So I ended up with an 8-round granny square, which gives me this size here. And that gave me a tiny bit of leftover, which is fine. And then I thought, okay, I can get 2 out of every skein. I have 14 skeins, which gives me 28 squares, which honestly is a shit number for making a blanket, because you cannot really divide that by anything to make it make sense. So it was clear that I needed 2 more to get to 30 squares so I can do my blanket 5 by 6. And so what I did is I crocheted my 2 squares out of every color. So that is 1 color. I made those yesterday. And then the remainder, I immediately worked into a kind of leftover square. That is the second leftover square already. And that gives me 30, and I'm using still the same yarn collection. And it doesn't really show that it's a leftover square. So let's do this again. So these two are from one color. Then I have these two. Then I have a leftover square. And when I show you the rest, it really does not show that this holds 5 different colorways. And then that one. This is my favorite colorway out of the collection, and I have made a pair of socks for myself out of this before. And that one. And the last is this. So I now have 15 finished squares and the second leftover square that I need. And what I did then was I ordered 3 skeins of opal sock yarn in a natural undyed colorway. And I am going to crochet 1 or 2 rounds around every finished granny square. And then I'm going to join them. And I saw, I think on Pinterest, a video of how you can join them in a super easy way. And I hope that I will be able to find that again so I can link it when it's time. And if not, I need to show it to you then. But yeah, so that's the plan. I bought 3 skeins. That gives me 300 grams. And that hopefully will be enough. If not, I have to order more. And then I will probably do a border all the way around or not. We will find out when it's time. But yeah, I'm working on that, and to keep myself going, because I really enjoy it. But I also know that if this ever gets put away, it will never see the light of day again. So what I'm doing usually in the morning when I have my first cup of coffee, I start my crochet square, and then I do the second one right after that, because when you use the inside and the outside of your skein, it gets very floofy, and I don't want to get into a tangled mess. So I don't want to put it away. So I'm doing both crochet squares, and I use the rest for the leftover square right away so that, you know, it's dealt with, it's gone. And that is my daily project right now. I started a week ago and I have 15 squares, so half of it. And I hope to finish it by the end of August. We will find out if that's going to work, but you know, that's the plan. So now one more thing that I have on the needles, and it is in my newest project bag that I bought. This is from Knitting Unicorns. And I saw this bag when I was in Italy. I was in Italy for a knitting retreat 2 months ago, and someone had this bag. And while I was still in Italy, I ordered my own. Can you stay there now, please? Okay, so it arrived, and in here I have a second scrub bucket pattern test thing, because this is the pattern size that I'm writing the pattern for, but I also want to give 2 variations that I have come up with, and it's basically a any size you want to make pattern, but I am making a slightly smaller size, and this is for Tim because he really wanted to have his own. So I'm making this size for Tim, and I'm at the point where I need to do the drawstring channel next, but I also want to film a tutorial for how to do it. So this has been put away because I need to, you know, set up the camera and get everything ready to film that. But yeah, this is the second scrub bucket pattern I'm working on. And what I haven't told you before, this is knit with sock yarn scraps held double. So I'm getting through some very old stash yarn, and I'm using these 2 skeins right now, and I have another one of this. I had 2, so I decided to keep this as like the main yarn and then use other leftovers for the actual bag. And the kid the kid decided that he really wanted to have this yarn in, and it's only a 50-gram skein that I randomly had. So that's what I'm using. And yeah, that is scrub bucket number 2, and I will have a number 3 hopefully as well, because I want to make a spindle bag as my third option. So I have the large project bag, the smaller project bag, and a tall spindle bag, if it works out. We will find out within the next 2 weeks, I guess. So that is the projects I have on the needles right now. For knitting in the future, I, like I said before, I want to do a second pair of gloves. I want to do a third version for my scrub bucket pattern. And I'm really itching to cast on a colorwork sweater. And I am leaning towards Marie Wallin. I have several things of hers that I would love to start. One of them is the Yell cardigan, and I have actually put all the yarn that I need for that together already. So that is an option. But I also would love to do the Holly sweater, which is like a slip over, sleeveless sweater with those shoulders. Drop shoulders. It's a drop shoulder sleeveless sweater, and I do have yarn for that as well. So these two are very high on the list. I absolutely fell in love with a sweater by Kristin Viola Odegaard. She's a Norwegian designer, but the pattern is not out yet. And once it comes out, it is only in Norwegian, which I can, kind of find my way around ish. But yeah, the pattern's not out. So I'm thinking that one of those 2 Marie Wallin designs will get on my needles very soon. And I am right now leaning towards the Yell because I have already selected all of the yarns for my stash. For the Holly, I would have to go into my stash and find yarn, and I think I'm too lazy for that today. So yeah, I'm gonna do probably the Yell cardigan, and whatever I will decide, you will get to see in the podcast. And I will also film a project vlog for that decision sweater for my Patreon. So you will get to see it anyways. So I'm gonna need a sip of coffee. It's been a very long time since I sat down for a real podcast, and I'm a bit rusty, and I feel like I'm talking super fast, but we will just deal with that. So what's next? Spinning. I have already done my Tour de Fleece recap, and I haven't spun since that. So I have nothing to show. Nothing to show. For new stuff, I also have nothing to show, which is a good thing, because I have a lot of things, and I'm trying to focus on using what I already have, and it's working very well lately. So that's that. Well, the only new thing I had was the 3 skeins of sock yarn for the blanket. Now, reading, listening, watching. I started watching Schitt's Creek when I was sick. So I had COVID 4 weeks ago, I think. Smack in the middle of Tour de Fleece, I got sick. And then I was out for the next 10 days. I had COVID. I couldn't read. I couldn't watch anything. I was just out. And when I got a bit better, I started watching Schitt's Creek, and I watched the first season and the half of the second season, I think. And I've stopped since because I haven't watched anything really. What I really want to watch is Stranger Things season 4, because that came out when I was sick, and I just haven't had any brain power since then to watch it. But I need to. It needs to happen. So that's it for watching. Listening. I've listened to a lot of audiobooks. So it is day 7 of this month. It's August 7th, and I've finished 7 books so far this month. July was a very bad reading month for me because, first of all, it was Tour de Fleece, so I was focused on that. I listened to a few audiobooks while I was spinning. And then when I had COVID, I couldn't read. You know, I thought, okay, you're out, you cannot do anything, but you can read. So I took up a book and I read one sentence and I reread that same sentence, I think 3 or 4 times. And then I decided to just put my book away. And that was the end of this month. But in August, I have started out very strong. I am listening all throughout the year. I have been listening to that, to a audiobook series called Tee Kaffee Mord. It's a German audiobook series. The author name sounds British or English. It's Ellen Barksdale, but the books are only available in German. So I'm thinking that that might be a pseudonym for someone to sound British, so that the books that are taking place in England feel genuinelier. So yeah, I'm listening to that. I have just finished listening to book 15 of that series, and I've listened to all 15 this year. And I listen to those through Audible. So if you're German and you're interested or you want to listen to German audiobooks, they do those in like a 3-book bundle for 1 credit. And I have just pre-ordered books 16 through 18 in the next bundle, and that will come out in 5 days, on the 12th. So I'm gonna listen to the next 3 starting then. So that's what I've been listening to. And reading wise, I have read a romance novel, and that was called Highland Games, and it was by Evie Alexander. And it was a typical romance, you know, young woman inherits a cabin in the Scottish Highlands, decides to move there from London and to the middle of nowhere. And at first it's a bit weird. And then she meets this guy and yeah, big miscommunication. And I don't want to talk to you at the end, which always drives me crazy, because this is a thing in almost every romance novel where there's the big fallout at the end, because apparently that needs to be a thing. And every time it is if you would just listen to the other person for 5 minutes, this wouldn't happen. And that drives me crazy. I hate that. Hate it. And it happens in almost every romance novel. No. Don't like it. So that was a book I read. And I read that through Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's included there. And I brought 2 books that I'm reading as actual books. And I'm gonna start with the fiction first. So if you've been here for a longer time, you've seen this before. I'm still reading Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. It's the first book in a duology. The second book is called Unravel the Dusk. I have that as well. And this book and it's called the Blood of Stars series or duology. We have a very complicated relationship, because when I first started this, I think last summer or 2 years ago, I started this at the local pool. I remember that. And I was obsessed, and I read for like the first 80 to 100 pages, could not put it down. And then I put it down and I didn't pick it back up. And then I decided to take this on holiday when I went to Italy 2 months ago. And again, for 2 days, I was obsessed, and I came to, this part. I was reading all the time, could not put it down. And then I had to put it down because I was at a knitting retreat at the second part of the holidays. And I just didn't want to read because I had other things to do. And I haven't picked up the book since. I don't know what it is. Every time I start reading, I can't stop. But once I stop, I cannot seem to pick it back up. So this book is about, I don't even remember her name. Her name is Maya. This book is about Maya, who enters a competition to become the emperor's new tailor. Problem is, only men are allowed to be tailors. And she enters for her brother, who was in the war and has a very bad leg and is not a very good tailor either. And so she enters as him, which is the reason why in my book I have the Mulan bookmark. So it is very Mulan-esque, that story part. And then she enters that competition, and there's a romance plot in here. It's a great book. I really enjoy it. I just don't know why it's taking me forever to finish it. And there's a second one. So probably within the next 5 years, I will finish those 2 books. But like I said, I do not know what it is, because I really, 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 really like it. But I just, yeah, I am not allowed to put it back down again, I think. And then the other thing I'm reading is this book here. It is Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And it's not a self-help book. It's more like it's short essays about how she became her true self, I think. Stop pleasing, start living is the tagline. And it is more or less a stop doing what other people want you to do. Stop trying to please everyone around you and forgetting yourself. Live your life, please you first. And yeah, so that's the thing. And I am reading a few of those essays every evening. They're quite short. Some of them are only 2 pages. Then there's some that are 20 pages long. And I have found a few very important things for me. And some other things where it's like, I don't know. But I think that's a normal and a healthy response to books like these. So yeah, I'm reading this. It is a very good book. It is eye-opening to me on many, many levels. It is also talking about how society tells us what a perfect woman should be, and how none of us is that woman, and how we always feel, what's the word? Like we're just not enough, like we are lacking some way, because the perfect woman doesn't exist, but society, the media, advertising, it always tells us what the perfect woman should be, and how that is already, leading to women never being able to win, because we can never reach that picture. So yeah, I recommend this book. It is a very good read, and that is what I'm reading. I also started a new ebook, and it's called Wolf Gone Wild. It's another romance, paranormal romance book with a witch and a werewolf. And I've only read like 50 pages, if that. So I have absolutely no idea what's happening yet. But I started that. It's also a Kindle Unlimited book, and I think it's by Julia Cross. But I'm not sure. Could be someone else. Okay, that's the reading, listening, watching part. I do have sewing. So, sewing. Here's my sewing. These are book sleeves. If you do not know what a book sleeve is, it is basically a protective bag for your book. I'm gonna take this one to show you. I made all of these. I made them in 3 different sizes. The one I am going to show you is a size small. I have medium and large. The larger ones are for hard bags, and the medium ones are for the bit taller paperbacks, because this is like a normal paperback size, but some indie published paperbacks are larger, or also very thick paperbacks. The small ones are just for normal books. So I have lined all of these with super fun lining. They all have my label in them. They are in my shop. I have sold one already, which is making me very happy. And now what this is, like I said, a protective bag for your book. So I'm going to use the Untamed to show you. And you just put it in. See, I need the medium-sized one for that. German paperbacks are a bit smaller than this, because I tried with a German one and it came up to here. But this one comes to the top. What it actually is if you travel, you're on vacation, you have your books in your suitcase. I am a person, if I put my books in my suitcase and I come home and they are creased and crumpled because, it's tightly packed, I don't like that. This is going to prevent that, because this is a protective layer all the way around. or for putting it in your handbag, your beach bag, anywhere. It's a protective little bag for your book. And I made those using quilting cotton. And this one has the matching fabric from the same line on the inside. And I also used quilt batting, 1 centimeter thick quilt batting. What's that? What's a centimeter in inch? 3/8 of an inch, maybe? To make it really nice and thick and protective. So yeah, I made 12 of those, 4 in every size, and I'm going to probably make more because first of all, I didn't make one for me. I want to make one for my kid. I want to make one for my kid's friend for his birthday, and just, yeah, I really enjoyed making them. That's the sewing, and that leaves me with everything else already. So everything else, the next VKN, and I cannot look at my phone for a date, but let me check so it's the 7th today, so it's 14 on next Sunday, which means the next Saturday is the 13th. I am going to have the next VKN on Saturday, the 13th of August at 9 p.m. Berlin time. And I will, as always, put links in the Discord channel and the Ravelry group. If you are part of neither, I recommend you join either one of those. And if you do not use Ravelry and you have no Discord at all, you can also contact me on Instagram so I can send you the link to the private Zoom room and you can join there. So that's the VKN. I'm super happy to finally be able to do VKNs again because it's been a while. First, I was so busy with my studio and my shop that I just was too exhausted because I fell asleep at like 8:30 every evening. And then I couldn't do it because reasons, and then I was sick, and now we're back. We're back at doing weekends. We usually do them every other week, and so 13th, 9 p.m. my time, Berlin time. Okay, now that's that. The next thing, I opened a Redbubble shop. The thing is, I had my logo, which I'm going to show you in a second. I had made a mug. I had one mug made for me. And I showed it, and a lot of people were like, oh, I would love to have a mug like this. And then I thought, okay, I could get those made, and I have them here, and I have to, I have to have the space for them here. And then I have to ship them around. I didn't want to do that. First of all, I don't have enough space to have a lot of mugs. And then I also didn't want to ship them because, you have to make sure that they can't break. And yeah, so I decided to not do that. What I did instead was open a Redbubble shop. Redbubble is a print-on-demand online shop page thing. And I put up 20 designs there. 2 of them are my logos. This logo here, my main logo that I use for everything. And the other one, I have 2 rectangular ones as well. And one of the rectangular ones I used for the other logo. And I also put up a lot of pictures of landscape and of pretty yarn. And what you can do now, I'm going to put a link to my Redbubble store down in the description box. So how this works is, if you want to have a mug with my logo on to support me, or because you think it's cute or whatever, you can order it there, and they have their printing and shipping places all over the world. So it will be printed and shipped close to you, so you do not have to pay a lot of shipping. And what it also does is, everything you order, I will get 20% of the price of that will go to me. And you have to, when you set a store up, you have to decide what your designs will be able to be printed on. And I chose stickers, postcards, mugs, travel mugs, like water bottles, and bags, I think. Pretty sure that's what I chose. And I ordered postcards because I wanted to see how they came out, and they are beautiful. And I also ordered 2 bags. This one, because I like the tote bag. I like that it's not so huge, you know, it's a smaller size tote bag, but it has the print on both sides, which I think is great. And I also ordered a small sports bag because when I go to a knitting retreat or something and I can come with my stuff in my own little duffel bag, I just thought that's cool. So I gave that a go. And I think that it is a bit far down, you know, the print, but I don't know what it will look like once it's filled up. So yeah, I had those 2 made for me. And like I said, if you want to have something with my logo on, which I know sounds super arrogant and vain, but if you want to, you can go to the Redbubble shop that I will link to down below, and you can get your merchandise, or, you know, get nice postcards or stickers with the landscape pictures and the yarn pictures. So just so you know, I do get 20% off of everything you order there, which is a nice way to support me and also get something out of it for you. And so yeah, that's the Redbubble shop. The pattern I talked about will be released August 20th. If you are interested in my other patterns, I will leave a link to those down below as well. They are on Ravelry and on Etsy. And what else? I think that is it for today. Oh, no, not quite. I also do have a Patreon. I want to mention it because I'm very happy and very proud of what I am doing over there. I post a lot of vlogs, but also a lot of tutorials, spinning tutorials, a lot of recipes. And if you're interested in that, I will leave a link to that as well. And now I'm done. Now that I've advertised myself for 5 minutes, I'm going to stop talking. And I hope you all have a wonderful time. I'm so happy I was finally able to sit down and record a normal podcast again. I hope to be back on a weekly schedule because that's what I really want to do. For now, because of all of the construction stuff, I'm going to have to record on Sundays because they also work on Saturday, which is great. And yeah, I hope to be back next Sunday, which will be after the weekend. So this is your only reminder. And I am gonna let you go. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful time, and I will talk to you again in the next video. Bye.